approach I'll bring.
I'm gonna bridge the gulf. Subsidies for
some people come from backgrounds
subsidies
where they can't have their own hitmen.
All right, so there's a big controversy right now. The other day, of course, Zephyr Teachout, who has written extensively about the corruption of corporate donations. She was part of the emolument suit at one point, or one of them, against Donald Trump. And she had written a piece in The Guardian saying that Joe Biden has a corruption problem. Of course, she is talking about corruption in a systemic sense because he had taken so much in corporate donations and maybe some involvement with his son. I don't think she raised that about MBNA, but he was formerly known as the senator from MBNA back in the day. That's what we used to call him. And, you know, his Obama legacy, people forgot about that. He became the sort of cuddly Uncle Joe. But of course, Bernie Sanders, because apparently it was sent out in an email blast, a link to that piece, he apologized to Joe Biden. But simultaneously, and part of the reason why I think he did that is because he wanted more people to pay more attention to Joe Biden's targeting of Social Security over the years. Oddly enough, Joe Biden has come out with his own attack ad on Bernie saying, well, let's play the ad.
As Democrats, we can't launch dishonest attacks against fellow Democrats. We have to beat Donald Trump. Now Bernie's campaign has unleashed a barrage of negative attacks on Joe Biden. They've even accused Joe Biden of supporting Paul Ryan's cuts to Social Security. Bernie's campaign is not telling the truth. Joe Biden has repeatedly voted to save Social Security. He and President Obama beat back Republican attempts to privatize it. And in 2012, Joe Biden even said he didn't support those cuts to Paul Ryan.
We will be no part of a voucher program or the privatization of Social Security.
Biden's plan protects Social Security and will increase benefits. Bernie's negative attacks won't change the truth. Joe Biden is still the strongest Democrat to beat Donald Trump.
Now, the irony of this ad is it is itself a lie. If you listen to it carefully, maybe we could replay part of it. What Joe Biden is saying is conflating three things. He is conflating cuts to Social Security with privatization and vouchers. Now, the privatization battle happened in 2005 with George Bush, and that was pushed back. Nothing to do with Joe Biden. Had to do more with Josh Marshall, frankly, at Talking Points memo than Joe Biden. The idea that Paul Ryan could have done anything like privatize or created a voucher system for Social Security during the Obama-Biden years is ridiculous. Why? Because it was the Obama-Biden years, and Barack Obama would have had to sign that legislation. He didn't have to beat back anything. He could have just vetoed it if it ever passed the House and the Senate, which it didn't. However, what is the case is in 2011, in 2013, and in 2015, the Obama administration, and according to Joe Biden, I was the guy who tried to or did offer Republicans a so-called grand bargain that included cuts to the existing cost of living increases in Social Security. Social Security is not a static amount of money that is paid out when you are 65. The money that my grandparents got when they were 65 is not the same amount of money that I will get, even if we put in the same amount of dollars, because inflation exists. Things are more expensive. Pharmaceuticals, rent. There is a specific formula to deal with those increases. If you cut that, if you change that formula so that less money comes on the other side, that is a cut to Social Security. Okay? Joe Biden was the guy in that administration who led the charge to do that. But fortunately, the Republicans were so insane they couldn't take yes for an answer. But that's not what Bernie Sanders is saying that Joe Biden has done. Let's play Bernie Sanders' ad. Now, remember, privatization is one thing. Voucher system is another. Cuts are a third thing, even in Joe Biden's ad. He doesn't say, I never proposed cuts. He says, I fought against privatization. I fought against vouchers. Here is the ad that Bernie Sanders did, and it really offensively uses Joe Biden's actual recording of him.
When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in the government. And I not only tried it once, I tried it twice, I tried it a third time, and I tried it a fourth time.
Well, we've got some bad news for them. We are not going to cut Social Security. We're going to expand.
All right. So he's the guy who tried it not once, not twice, and 3 times, or however many times. Now, that audio came from his appearance here on Meet the Press. Oh, wait a second. No, it didn't. This was just another time where Joe Biden, and here's the thing about Joe Biden. It's not enough. Like, you could hear the bravado in his voice and like, I'm the guy who said freeze Social Security. In other words, as inflation increases, because we know this, right? We've talked about this in the context of the UBI. Wealth is not a static number. It is a dynamic relative to what your money can buy. So if you cut the cost of living increases in Social Security, if you freeze them, unless you're able to freeze time and to freeze the cost of everything else around you, it is a cut in the purchasing power of that senior citizen on Social Security. But it's not just enough that he promoted this. He brags about it. That first quote that we heard in Bernie Sanders' thing was from the Senate in 1995. Now let's go all the way back to the 2008 campaign, where Joe Biden is on a Meet the Press. And are you open to cutting Social Security?
Senator, we have a deficit. We have Social Security and Medicare looming. The number of people on Social Security and Medicare is now 40 million people. It's going to be 80 million in 15 years. Would you consider looking at those programs, age of eligibility, absolutely, cost of living, put it all on the table?
The answer is absolutely. You have to. I mean, it's one of the things that my, the political advisors say to me is, whoa, don't touch that third. Look, the American people aren't stupid. It's a real simple proposition. We have to do, you and I were talking about Bob Dole earlier. I was one of 5 people, I was the junior guy, in the meeting with Bob Dole, George Mitchell, when we put Social Security in the right path for 60 years. I'll never forget what Bob Dole said. After we reached an agreement about gradually raising the retirement age, et cetera, he said, look, here's the deal. We all put our foot in the boat one at a time. And he stepped like he was stepping into a boat. And we all make the following deal. If any one of the challengers running against incumbent Democrat or Republicans attacks us on this point, we'll all stay together. That's the kind of leadership that is needed. Social Security is not the hard one to solve. Medicare, that is the gorilla in the room.
Now, here he is bragging about, look, I'm not going to get political about this. I'm going to band together with some other wealthy guys. And we're going to say our fates, we're going to protect each other when they come from pitchforks. When we get images of senior citizens eating cat food because we've cut their Social Security benefits or we've rolled back their Medicare benefits, we're going to stick together. And that's how tough we are. Despite the fact that there's going to be all this suffering out there, we're bound together like a band of brothers.
Very rich brothers.
It just so happens that we're all very wealthy and we're not going to suffer in that situation.
I don't want to retire from doing this.
But I promise you, my band of brother, the only thing that we could suffer. The danger here lies in our political careers. And so I promise you, because of course you're not going to have to worry about cat food. I'm not going to have to worry about cat food. I'm not going to have to worry about my mom or your mom. We're not going to have to worry about that. What we have to worry about is our political futures. And I promise you, I am going to protect you. Your ability to throw welfare moms off the rolls, which you love to do, or to maybe cut back on unemployment benefits. I'm going to protect you so you're going to be able to do that in the future. And that's what real leadership is about. I'm a tough guy. And that is the reality. Look, if Joe Biden wants to brag about being able to cut Social Security and do it in a room with Mitch McConnell, then he should get out and be honest about it. But he won't. And he's lying. People can decide whether they can trust him on this. But the fact of the matter is they wanted to cut Social Security during the Obama administration. Everybody has the receipts. Everybody knows it. His administration, which he brags about, right? I'm the guy that made it possible for Obama to do all this. Bowles Simpson. Both of those guys on record. Simpson, while he sat on this commission, when people were saying, you want to cut Social Security, that's wrong. He said, a lot of you people are sucking off the teat of the country. Bowles wanted to privatize Social Security from decades ago. And he was the Democrat they appointed. People fought very hard against Joe Biden's agenda for 10 years and before that. And the fact of the matter is, he's just lying about it now. He's just lying about it.
It's crazy because who supports Joe Biden? Old people. And I'm not one to blame the electorate, but if I was, I might say if old people make Joe Biden the nominee, can't be held responsible for what happens to Social Security.
Somebody's trying to pitch themselves to write the forward of my book.
I was going to say, that's a strong pitch right there.
But, Joe Biden's, that's the bottom line. And anybody who says, anybody who says anything different like that is lying to you. I don't care if it's Paul Krugman. I don't care who it is. They're lying. Go back and listen to this show and hear how many times that Digby and I talked about the Obama administration trying to do this. Go back, Google Bowles Simpson. How hard people fought against that. They didn't even come out. They were supposed to come out with a bipartisan report. And the report, to be a report, required, I can't remember how many votes it was. Let's say 10 out of 16 votes from that committee. I think it was 16. The numbers may be off. But there was a requirement to issue a report. And the bottom line is they couldn't get 10 people to vote for that report. And so Simpson and Bowles, or Bowles and Simpson, they put it out themselves and everybody pretended it was the report. It wasn't the report. That's how desperate they were to cut Social Security in this administration. But they couldn't get the Republicans to sign off on it. And the idea that we can't afford to expand Social Security when Joe Biden knows this, I would hope. Because of wealth inequality and because we haven't continued to raise the cap at the rate in which people have amassed wealth at the top end of the spectrum, we capture about 6 to 7% less of the country's income in the Social Security taxes we used to. And if we blew the cap off, it would all be over. So solvency would be Social Security. And worried about Medicare? I have an idea. Include everybody in it. Raise taxes, include everybody in it. Medicare's off the table. If it's unsustainable now, there's an indication that you either got to give people less health insurance or you got to give everybody more. That's just the bottom line. So mission accomplished, ladies and gentlemen.